Let's check the news during the 7 o'clock hour. Nathan Cones has our update from the news studio.
Thank you very much, John, and good morning, everyone. Authorities have released additional information from a single vehicle accident Monday morning that killed 2 people in Carroll County. According to the Iowa State Patrol, that crash occurred at approximately 7:57 a.m. several miles north of Carroll on U.S. Highway 71 near the intersection with 150th Street. Officials say 41-year-old Joshua Shelton of Carroll was traveling southbound on the highway in a 2005 Ford F-150 and was passing another southbound vehicle. Shelton lost control of the pickup when returning to the southbound lane and entered the west ditch, coming to rest after striking a Mid-American Energy pole. Shelton and his daughter Aubrey, who was a 9th grade student at Carroll High School, both sustained fatal injuries in the crash. The Carroll County Sheriff's Office and Carroll County Emergency Medical Services assisted the Iowa State Patrol at that scene. School officials are working in concert with staff from the Heartland AEA to provide grief counselors to students and staff. A GoFundMe account has been established to assist the Shelton family, and you can find a link to that donation page included with this story on our website. And staying on the topic of driving, motorists are urged to exercise caution this morning as fog and freezing mist reduce visibility and create the potential for slick road conditions. The Carroll County Sheriff's Office, as well as several other agencies, issued warnings to drivers to reduce speed, increase following distances, and use low-beam headlights to enhance their visibility. Temperatures are hovering around that freezing point, so conditions could deteriorate rapidly with a drop of only a few degrees in some areas. And again, as John and I talked about a few minutes ago, there are reports of some very slick, patchy areas, particularly to the south of U.S. Highway 30. A state expert says the snow this month is going to be a help after months of drought. Iowa DNR hydrologist Tim Hall says there are some indications melting snow will provide some help for depleted soil moisture.
The numbers I've seen are suggesting that the frost is not particularly deep in the state because the really cold weather we just came through happened after we had a pretty decent snow cover on the ground, which tends to insulate the soil a little bit.
Hall says the ground is often frozen in January and there isn't any seeping into the subsoil.
So if we were to have a rapid melt-off, most of the snow would end up in runoff off the top of the ground. So that's not the best for soil moisture replenishment.
Hall says the snow melt will be beneficial one way or another.
That moisture is going to go somewhere. And right now, whether it goes into the soil or goes into the streams, either one is a good thing for the state of Iowa.
Snow runoff will help bring the water levels back up in rivers, streams, as well as lakes.
Those communities that are working hard to keep up with their water demand, this will be helpful. Now, it's still the time of the year when there isn't a lot of water demand, so we'll just keep sticking water into the system, and hopefully we can save it up till the growing season next year.
Hall says there could be some flooding if the snow melts rapidly, but he says the drought has created a lot of capacity in lakes as well as rivers.
If you recall, about a year ago, we were sitting on record snowpack in Minnesota and Wisconsin, and that snow melted off, and we had flooding on the Mississippi River in late spring of last year. But because the overall Midwest has been so dry, that flooding came and went, and the Mississippi River was back in low flow conditions by summer.
Hall says that flooding could happen this year in Iowa if the runoff does happen quickly. A Carroll man convicted last month for stabbing a Carroll bar owner multiple times in the head and neck has filed a motion requesting a new trial. 42-year-old John Michael Hansen was found guilty of willful injury causing serious injury, a Class C felony, on December 18th following a bench trial held in November. The judge found Hansen guilty of stabbing Ben Baiting 4 times in the early morning hours of August 27th outside Kirp's Tavern in the 200 block of East 5th Street. Baiting was airlifted to a Des Moines hospital with life-threatening injuries following that assault. He has since made a near full recovery, but was left with permanent scarring from that attack. According to Hansen's motion, he's seeking a new trial on the grounds the court did not adequately consider his testimony due to its apparent self-serving nature, alleged inconsistencies in witness testimony, and a failure by the court to satisfy elements of specific intent due to intoxication as required by law. The motion was filed on Monday, and the court is yet to rule on it. Hansen's sentencing hearing is scheduled for January 29th. He faces up to 10 years in prison and $10,000 in fines. And that will be wrapping up your news here on KCIM. I'm Nathan Cones reporting.
Just talking to a listener coming in from Lake City, kind of taking the back roads through around the Litterdale area. And they said very slick on those county roads, as we've been saying this morning, that the Carroll County Sheriff's Office put out that notice on Facebook earlier. But yeah, we don't want people to misinterpret us that maybe the worst part is between Carroll and Audubon with some of the fog and freezing fog. But certainly county roads all over our listening area are going to be slick out there.
Yeah, it's something you should definitely keep a close eye on. If your car has like a exterior temperature gauge on it, keep an eye on that. If you're anywhere close to the freezing point or below it, it's going to be slick, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and that said she was going maybe about 40 miles per hour between Lake City and Carroll. Once again, that's kind of on the back county roads coming into town. But yeah, make no mistake, it's going to be that way all over the place. That little light mist in the air, it's causing some issues. When the fog is heavier, obviously, going to be worse issues with that. But all of the schools that we have delayed this morning are all virtually Highway 30 and to the south right now. But doesn't mean that if you're to the north, you're not going to run into slick road conditions by any stretch of the imagination. So everybody, everywhere, if you're listening to us, just be careful out there. There's a dense fog advisory off to our west. All the counties off to our west, the western tier of counties in the state of Iowa, all right now under a dense fog advisory.